Okay, and we are back for our second day of live coverage at the Jolt Conference in Music City, Nashville. And I'm joined here with Mark Silverman, who is the founder of Silverman Associates. Mark, thanks for joining us.
I'm happy to be here.
Okay, so I know when you're not lifting weights, I mean, I'm not sure if you're seeing the gun show here, but holy smoke. When you're not lifting weights, you have a great podcast. And that's really what we're going to talk about, although we could pivot to weightlifting, I suspect. But
we can stick to the podcast.
Let's stick with the podcast. So I want to talk about this from a few different angles. First of all, as we were talking off camera, if you can kind of bring the audience in on this, what are you using that podcast for? Because immediately you kind of go to client acquisition, which is true, but you're using it for client retention as well, which I thought was interesting.
I am, and it tails in with I have a radio show as well.
Yeah.
So
right.
I repurpose, which is one of the things that we've talked about at Jolt, is repurposing a lot of the media and stuff that you do, and streaming it to different social medias. But the podcast has really worked very well as far as getting that information out there. We send out a podcast every 2 weeks. It's a 10 to 12 minute format.
To existing clients.
It goes to everybody. It goes to everything. It's on all the different major platforms.
Got it.
So people can listen to it. I'd say my one claim to fame with the podcast is I did a financial plan for actually a couple in Dubai. So I can say that I'm international now.
Yes, indeed. We just got back from Dubai, actually. We were there this winter.
It's a place I want to go to.
Very cool place.
Yeah, depending on when you go.
If Las Vegas and Miami had a love child,
right,
it would be Dubai.
Right.
It's over the top.
But it's like 120 degrees though, right?
Well, I wouldn't go in the summertime. We were there in the wintertime. I would not go in the summer.
But yeah, it was great. I mean, we did it through Zoom, obviously, and I'd be drinking coffee at 9 in the morning, and they're having wine at night doing the planning.
How cool is that?
Yeah. So it was great. So that was directly from the podcast. I don't know how they found my podcast, but they did.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What a great story.
Yeah.
So now, how much time does it take to produce this podcast? It sounds like you're doing quite a bit.
I outsource, do what you do best and hire the rest is my big philosophy.
Absolutely.
And my time is best spent, meeting with clients,
absolutely,
getting out in the community, doing the things that I enjoy doing, and doing the planning with clients as well. So I outsource that. I use a company called Third Wheel Media out of North Carolina. And so I literally spend an hour a month. It's not scripted or anything like that. I spend an hour a month recording the material, which turns into a 30-minute radio show every weekend, as well as a podcast every 2 weeks. A new podcast comes out.
That's awesome. We're always looking to highlight resources for folks looking to go RIA. So definitely connect us, because I'd love to do a podcast.
Absolutely.
With them. And they're called, again, just for the audience,
Third Wheel Media, and they're out of Cary, North Carolina.
Yeah, sounds like they have a really interesting solution. Would love to speak with them. Okay.
Absolutely.
So let's pivot a little bit to what we really talk about here, which is answering one of two questions. Why should someone go RIA? How can someone go RIA? With you, I want to focus on the why, because we were joking about this earlier. So you came from, it's a statement of fact, you came from Merrill Lynch.
I started my career, 30 years ago, actually this year, right out of college, went to work for Merrill Lynch.
Yep.
No regrets, back in those days.
Great training program.
Great, they had the best training program. Yes. And I got several offers to get into the business. Merrill was the best one. They had the longest training program. They didn't just give you a phone and a phone book.
Right.
They actually had a mentor, and it was a good program.
Yes.
And you needed a name behind you 30 years ago.
Back then you did.
Now it's kind of flipped.
We talk about that a lot.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
So it was great experience, and but coming from that background, we really couldn't even, you were scared to even send an email out without having somebody compliance approve it. Yeah. So, and I think there's still some people in that industry that I know of that feel that way, and they're afraid because Mother Merrill, which is now Bank of America,
right,
scares them to make them think that they can't go out on their own. And it's like, like it's kind of cliche. The only thing I would have done different is
do it sooner.
Do it sooner.
Yeah, absolutely. We get that a lot on goRIA.com. Yeah. So look, I mentioned this in an earlier episode here today too. Last year, InvestmentNews wrote a two-piece print piece on me, calling me out as public enemy number one for broker-dealers. And I don't want to come across like I'm bashing the broker-dealers, but it's important to know the difference. And there's a very real difference. Payout, almost certainly higher in the RIA space, but really what gets people excited, I think, is the freedom to run their business as they want to run it, the freedom to do marketing, things like podcasts the way they want to do it. And are there advisors at Merrill Lynch doing podcasts? I'm sure there are. Are they doing it? Or maybe there's not even. I'm trying to be generous.
I don't know if that would even be allowed.
Okay, I'm trying to be generous, saying maybe there are some, but I think without question, the statement of fact would be it would be substantially harder to produce the kind of content in not just Merrill Lynch, any wirehouse, than it would be on your own in your own firm, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time since I've been on the broker-dealer side, but I would have to think that you would probably need to send a script in, have it approved. You can't deviate from it. And I can tell you, if you're reading from a script on a podcast, nobody's going to listen to it. It's going to be very boring.
Yeah.
They want to listen to a conversation and natural.
I think that's one of the main advantages of the RIA space. And it's not to say that compliance is like the Wild West, but it is reasonable and it is your own. Because I remember back when I was in the broker-dealer, I was like wanting to do this and wanting to do that. I'm like, I think that's fine,
right.
And it is fine. But you know what? When you're a compliance officer in one of the big firms especially, and I say this all the time, you're getting paid the same if you say yes or if you say no. So you might as well say no and cover your butt than put your neck out and say yes.
Exactly.
Right?
And as long as if you're doing this for a long term, and like I said, I've been doing this 30 years now, you got to be doing it the right way. If you're not going to do it the right way, then you're going to be a compliance problem, not only in the RIA space, but in the broker-dealer space as well. So as long as you're doing the right thing and checking the right boxes and making sure you're always putting the client's interest first, there's no issues of going direct and being with an RIA.
Absolutely. Okay, so good. So you've been here at the conference. Were you up on stage at all?
I was not.
Okay. All right. I thought maybe you were at one point. But what are some of your takeaways for the folks that were not lucky enough to be here in person in Nashville?
Marketing is key. I actually brought my daughter along with me. She's a marketing major.
Oh, nice.
And so she's going to be a junior. And so
Where's
got a
she
lot
going
of
to school?
She's transferring. She was at the University of Montana, and she's coming home to the University of Arizona.
Very nice.
Finally, as a junior. So it's nice to have her come back home. But so she's a marketing major, and she was taking copious notes, which I was very proud of.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of good information, not just on the advisor side, but marketing in general. And in order to be successful in this business, unless I guess, you're working at a bank and they're feeding you, which it's not me.
That's right.
You need to be a marketer. You need how to market yourself and know what you're offering people and what the value is. And so this conference is probably one of the top 2 conferences I go to every year. I go to Future Proof as well.
Sure.
Those are the 2 conferences that I attend each year. And marketing is key. If you can't market yourself, no matter how great of an advisor you are and what you know, and whatever your background is, if you don't have any clients, you're not going to make it.
That's right. You can be the best player in the world if you're just talking to yourself. What good are you doing?
Exactly. So you got to have clients. So marketing, I think, is key in what we do.
Very cool. And we just have another minute or 2 left. But other than the podcast and the radio show, what else are you doing for marketing that's interesting?
Snappy Kraken. I use them for email marketing.
Yeah. Okay.
I've been with them for a very, very long time. I think I was the first direct RIA that's been with them. So
Really?
I've been with them a very long. Yeah, I've been with them.
How long?
I think I've been working with them, I want to say maybe 6 or 7 years or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, so we aren't yet, but we're going to start talking with them because I got to tell you, some of the stuff I'm hearing, testimonials, frankly, from people like you have been really outstanding. What do you like most about the Snappy Kraken?
Their emails are very personal and they're very well written. And I get comments from people, saying, I love your emails and because you can personalize them.
Right.
So they'll have like an email that goes out to clients and you change a couple of the lines where it'll say, put a local restaurant in there. So when they get the email, they see that you're referencing a local restaurant. So it's not like a scripted email that everybody else is getting. So they're very well written. I do use them. I use Advisor Stream if you're familiar with them. They do a weekly email as well.
Are they the ones that essentially have the reprints of like Wall Street Journal articles and stuff like that?
They do that. They do a weekly email as well, which I send out to everybody, as well as they do posts on LinkedIn, Twitter, or X, and Facebook. Yeah. So they do that as well. So it's a combination of things. All these things tying together, whether it be radio show, podcast, social media. I'm very involved in the community. So all these things kind of build your brand and tie things together. And you really can't do that if you're with a broker-dealer, because at the end of the day, and that's one of the things that this conference teaches you, is you're the brand.
Without question. And again, we're not here to broker-dealer bash, but we're just speaking the truth. It just is what it is.
It's an evolution.
That's right.
It is. And like I said, I have no regrets starting where I started.
Well, you have one regret.
Well, I wish I should have made the jump sooner.
Exactly.
But I mean, as far as getting the experience and that sort of thing, I think it'd be very difficult to go RIA out of college.
I completely agree with that. I really do.
You got to get experience.
But you could tuck into an RIA out of college.
You could.
And some of them have training programs are starting to envy the Merrill Lynch. But I will credit where credit's due. I do believe the big firms are probably better
for
starting someone out of the box that has no experience and they don't have a mentor to plug in with.
Exactly, and you get to meet lots of different people.
Without question.
You know, that was one of the things at Merrill is, you know, if you want to learn about bonds, you go talk to this guy.
That's right.
Stock trading, you want to go talk to this person. Planning, you want to talk to somebody else. So you get kind of a
But a lot of RAs have that now too, for
yeah,
sure. But,
there are.
To be fair, I think their trading program is still pretty darn good. So
they've been doing it a long
time. Go to
time.
Merrill, learn the business, then come to the RA
leave.
space.
Exactly.
You didn't hear that here. All right. As we expect copious letters from Merrill Lynch over the next couple of days.
That's okay.
It's all good. And I have a lot of great friends over there, and it's a fantastic firm. For sure. Okay, well, I think we're going to put a pin in it there. Mark Silverman, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you taking the time. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Okay, and we have one more to go. We're going to wrap things up with one of my favorite guests and good friend, Diana Cabrisi, who's going to give us a Jolt wrap-up. So stay tuned for that. It's going to stream in about another hour or so. Thanks for joining us, and Mark, thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay.